Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jordan and I watch tons of movies and then I review them by answering three different categories. The one thing I loved, the one thing I hated, and the one thing that I would change. And today we are doing Wicked. So with that said, go grab your popcorn, go grab your snacks, and let's fly on in this review. Before I start my review, I definitely want to say a few of my own personal opinions before this. I was super excited for this film. This was my second time seeing it in theaters. I was so excited that halfway through I dropped my popcorn. I was so sad. I mean, what can you say? Ariana just makes you drop your popcorn. Okay, I'm not gonna go too much into the synopsis. I think most of you know what it's about. It's about what happened when Dorothy arrived to Oz. It is the backstory of both Glinda, the Good Witch, and the Wicked Witch of the West, which in the film is Elphaba. The whole film is about the friendship between Glinda and Elphaba as they're in school, as they become adults. The one thing that I loved about this movie so much was Ariana Grande. It surprised me. When I saw Ariana casted as Glinda originally, I was quite disappointed, if I'm being honest. I mean, I've only seen her in Victorious and her most famous song, Seven Rings. So I had that predisposition of her coming into the film. I didn't know what the director saw in her. Now seeing it twice, I'm like, yeah, I understand now. In my head, I thought I knew who Glinda was. I didn't know exactly who I wanted Glinda to be. Ariana was nowhere close to who I thought should have been Glinda. And boy, was I wrong. From the first appearance to the last appearance, my heart and eyes were glued on Ariana. She did something to the character that the stage play didn't have time to explore. She dove into the complexities that the character has to offer. In the stage play, Glinda is clearly written as the comedic character, and she does play a critical role in the show, and she is supporting Elphaba's character arc. But Glinda also has a character arc of her own. It's just the stage play doesn't have a lot of time to explore that, and it definitely focuses a lot more on Elphaba, so she gets put to the side a little bit more. However, this was not the case in the movie. Ariana took a lot of creative liberties to add a lot more depth to Glinda that was pushed aside in the stage play. The thing that drew me to Ariana's performance and that I want to talk about today is how Ariana explored the themes of selfishness. In the stage play, Glinda is quite selfish, but she comes around during Dancing Through Life once she realizes her actions are hurting Elphaba. And after that, there's not much struggle with her selfishness, maybe one or two times, but for the most part, she's not that selfish. With Ariana's performance, she elevated the theme of selfishness as the leading decision maker of Glinda. It's something that will always be with Glinda and never go away, and you can see that in No One Mourns the Wicked. I caught on this immediately in No One Mourns the Wicked when you can clearly see that Glinda is struggling to maintain her public figure while covering up that she cannot reveal that her best friend is the Wicked Witch, or she'll face the consequences. You can see that it physically pains her when she is asked to torch the Elphaba statue, and she has to act as if this is good. However, she is choosing to do this. Now, you might say that you would never do that, and maybe you won't, but everyone has a type of struggle. So either you would pursue the struggle or you choose to go against it. And a lot of the times we are choosing that struggle. What made Ariana's performance so compelling to me is that she is still struggling with her selfishness. Usually with protagonists, they have their weakness, and then towards the end of the film, they've overcome their weakness to the point where it's non-existent, with No One Mourns the Wicked being the first scene in Wicked, which happens after the whole story, and the fact that Ariana's Glinda is showing that she's struggling with her selfishness. It shows that she's not overcome this. It's still a part of her character, and that's what I found so real about her character. It's because that happens in real life. A lot of our struggles don't just end right away. It takes years, maybe a whole lifetime for our struggles to go away. What I found inspiring about Ariana's character decision here is that she's telling the audience that you don't need to have everything put together. You don't need to be perfect. You're not going to get it perfect. And quite frankly, I think that's pretty relatable. People struggle with the same thing for so many years. Also, you see Glinda struggling with selfishness throughout the whole film. Yeah, it's pretty intense in the beginning. Once she gets to Dancing Through Life and sees how her selfishness really hurts Elphaba, you can see that internal battle now. She is trying to conquer her selfishness, and she's not perfect at all throughout the film, but she is getting better. And you can see it in No One Mourns the Wicked. She's still struggling with it. The urge is still there. And not only do I love how Ariana is showing how Glinda is struggling with her selfishness, she also shows the consequences of her actively choosing her selfishness. And you can see in No One Mourns the Wicked how it just stabs her in the heart that she has to blowtorch a statue of her friend. And now that's something that she is actively choosing to do. This is the price that she has to pay for her public figure, for her to live out the dreams of being super popular, being so well known. And I don't doubt that tarnishing her best friend's reputation is not destroying her internally. The thing I love so much about watching it in the theaters is you can see in Ariana's eyes, she is just holding back tears. Like, this is killing her internally. But that is the price she is paying and actively choosing for this life. Now, you might walk away thinking Ariana is critiquing rich people, politicians, or you might say, that would never be me. And if that's you, I think you're missing the main point of what she's trying to do. Ariana's critique is showing that this isn't everyone. Everyone has this desire. So she's just showing the price that it takes to fulfill our heart's desires. And that's what I just loved so much about her performance. And this is why I loved Ariana's performance so much. She brought a lot of depth to Glinda that was not explored in the stage play. And not to mention, she stole the hearts of everyone. And after talking with friends who've seen the movie, they all agreed that she was the best part. I mean, she was. I dropped my popcorn for her. I don't know about you, but my eyes were glued on her every single time she was on screen. So in the stage play, I never really cared too much about Glinda. I mean, she's funny and all that, and I related so much with Elphaba. I really loved her character. But however, in this movie, my favorite character was Glinda. So I'm really excited to see the second part of the movie because I think Ariana is going to explore a lot more with Glinda. Okay, I have to be honest. I am so sorry, Ariana, that I did not have a lot of faith in you, and that I didn't see what the director saw. I'm so happy you proved me wrong. I think you proved a lot of people wrong, and I'm just excited to see you in the second film, and I'm so excited to see what you do in the future because I do think you have a huge career in acting. It didn't take me until the second time watching the film what I hated about it. The first time, I was clearly living out my past theater glory days, just like every other theater kid going to the show, and it blinded me to the imperfections that the film had. But there were some. And that's what we're going to talk about. The one thing that I hated about this film was the cinematography, specifically in the lighting department. Throughout the whole film, it was either extremely dark or very bright. I truly think that they were trying to use as much natural lighting as possible. In both photography and in cinematography, you are taught about the 3-point lighting structure. As shown on screen, there's a key light, backlight, and fill light. The reason why I believe there was no key light, when you look at No One Mourns the Wicked, Ariana Grande's face has this awkward shade on her, and the whole back is pretty lit. It looks like direct sunlight is hitting her back, and the front of her face does not have the direct sunlight. You would not achieve that if there was a key light. Like right now, I have a key light on me because if I didn't have one, my face would be very dark. Also, there was a pink tint that is being reflected from her dress right into the camera. This was a problem throughout the whole film though. Any scene that was night or in the darkness was so dark you could barely see the characters. And this happened in pivotal moments of the story, like your first time meeting Fiyero, or I'm Not That Girl, or Defying Gravity. And let me tell you, it was hard to see it in the theaters. I could barely make out some of the characters. I can't do that on my TV. I've got a hand-me-down TV because I can't pay for a TV, and that doesn't have the best lighting. Even when my lights are all off, it's still hard to see some of the darker scenes. So imagine when I get to go see this film in my own house, I'll barely be able to see half the film. And then the opposite happened during the day. They used so much floodlight and natural light that it washed out half the film and it made it feel super saturated. Dancing Through Life had some of the worst cinematography because you have a library filled with large windows, so you would think, oh, I don't need to add extra lighting into this. The problem with this is cameras are so sensitive to light, so you don't even need much light if the camera is sensitive to it. In Dancing Through Life, because there was so much light coming in, it washed everything out. What they should have done is reduce the amount of natural light coming in so you have more control with handmade lights, that because you can dim them or you can brighten them, you just have way more control with your lighting there. I do believe there are 3 people that are responsible for the atrocities of this. It's the director, who has final say and approval for everything in the film. So he approved this. At the end of the day, it falls on him because he approved this. The second person is the lighting director. They know everything about lighting. They are the expertise of it, so they know what it does to the camera. And then the third person is the cinematographer. They are the first person to see what the light does in the camera. So they could have been able to say, hey, this is not working. Everything seems to be flooded. Those are the 3 people I would blame for the cinematography problem in Wicked. I will admit though, there are maybe 2 scenes that did really good with lighting, and that was The Wizard and I in One Short Day. For One Short Day, from what I was seeing with the set design, it seemed like they had a lot more control with the light. The buildings are super tall, and so it covered a lot of the light, and I think they just had a lot more opportunities to control the light. The one thing I would change about Wicked is that it was too long. And I don't mind long films. If done right, it can feel very quick, like Drive My Car, for example. However, I felt that the scenes kept dragging on a little bit longer. I know they are trying to take the opportunity to explore with different character motives, or even some of the plot lines that felt rushed in the stage play. I know all the songs and where they're placed, and so when they were happening, I was like, oh my goodness, we have this and this and that still left. Personally, I didn't mind how long Wicked was, but when I'm sitting next to someone who doesn't like musicals or doesn't like longer movies, I feel that energy. And so I thought it was quite long. This is what I think happened. The director told everyone to slow down on their dialogue delivery. The reason why I think that is some of the comedic moments didn't fall through in the movie versus when it was on stage. For example, the train station scene. In the stage play, Glinda is sharing her worries about Fiyero and saying that he's thinking, and she's going on pretty quickly. So when Fiyero comes on stage, immediately he's saying, hey, I've been thinking. And right after he says that, Elphaba's like, oh, I heard. However, in the movie, it takes a while for Glinda to share that Fiyero's been thinking. And then it takes quite a bit for Fiyero to get on scene. So when he's on scene, he's kind of talking, and then he's like, hey, you know, I've been thinking. And Elphaba takes a few seconds and then says, oh, I've heard. I think it was like 3 seconds of silence. And that might not seem a lot, but it is when the punchline relies on that timing. So yeah, I definitely would have picked up the time a little bit more with this film. Overall, I really love this film. I gave it 5 stars and a heart on Letterboxd both times. And I think that's because I personally love this story. I mean, when I first saw it in 6th grade, I immediately fell in love with it and still love the story to this day. I think I'm just a little nostalgic for the story. Like my friend said before the movie came out, I was either gonna love it or hate it, and despite the imperfections, I still loved it. And I think it's because the director stayed true to the story while expanding a lot of the characters. Like, I do think Nessa Rose is gonna play a bigger part in the second film, which in the stage play, she didn't get too much. In this moment, as audiences are let down from adaptation after adaptation, it's no wonder why there's a sigh of relief that Wicked did phenomenally well. I mean, it even got some of the harder critics to have more positive things to say about the film. So whether you like the story or not, or the production value or not, there is still a lot of value that this movie had. And the cast gave spectacular performances. Obviously, Ariana Grande. But man, Cynthia Erivo can sing. I'm really excited for Wicked for Good this year. I predict that they're going to expand the story that the second act had, just because it was a little bit shorter in time for the stage play. I'm also excited to hear the new songs that Glinda and Elphaba have. They both get 2 new songs. If you like this review, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and let me know in the comments section how much you loved Ariana Grande. Just say I love Ariana, or let me know what you disagreed with me. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I post every Wednesdays and Saturdays, and if you click that bell, it will notify you. So if you forget, you're reminded. I do have a letterbox, which I will link in my description. So if you want to follow me there, you do get little sneak previews of what reviews are to come. But until next time, go stock up on that popcorn, get extra popcorn, because if you're like me, you might drop some of it, and that's not fun halfway through a film. And grab that candy so you're ready to watch my next review. Until next time, I'll see you then.